Thank you for being here. We certainly appreciate it. We're here to talk about tariffs and how to think about not just surviving in a world that's constantly changing, but thriving. Proactive tariff strategies. One size does not fit all. The whole point is that being able to proactively address tariffs is something that requires information that allows you to make smart decisions. And that's information using supply chain financial insights. Insights that you trust and that you can use to actually thrive, not just survive, in the world of changing tariffs on an ongoing basis. So, this is a $5.5 billion operation out of Chicago. They're very profitable. They sell directly to their customers. They sell through wholesalers, and they sell through distributors. 110,000 delivery locations. The head of global supply chain, who's worked with us many times, said, we're profitable, but I really don't know where we make money and where we lose money. How many of those 110,000 delivery locations do you think gave this company 80% of their profit? Ready for the number? 2,843 locations. 2.8%. Less than 3% gave them 80%, good job, 80% of their profit. The SVP, and he knew this was right, immediately looked at one channel where they were all getting 5-day level of service. And he said, why are we doing that? When these customers are unprofitable or marginal, he changed that so the service levels were aligned with their financial contribution. He dropped $3 million immediately off his operating budget. That's why it's important. And we're going to use this to be able to think about proactively creating tariff strategies using this kind of information. So moving it to tariffs, there are many, many organizations that are in tremendous amount of stress associated with tariffs. And why is that? It's obviously widespread across many industries and lots of companies. It's been going on since the beginning of 2000. Well, it's been going on before that. But the current situation since 2018, January of 2018. And it is a lot of money. It is drastically affecting many companies. All right. What are companies doing about it? Reuters just came out, November 29th. You ready for this? More than 1/3 of the firms they talk to are doing nothing. Pretty staggering, isn't it? Doing nothing. They are waiting for the tariffs to go away and not have to deal with it. For those that actually have had to deal with it, and this is generic, of course, because this is if you do a lot of research on this, is what you'll hear, is what we just said: companies are doing nothing, or they're increasing their prices, or they're lowering their discounts, trying to find substitutions, possibly going back to their shareholders and saying, we're sorry, but we're not going to make the money we said we were going to make. Or, very popular, let's get the product in before the tariff actually comes in, right? These are all strategies that people are using. But the key difference is they're doing it across their operation. We're raising our prices. Well, who are you raising them on? We're just raising our prices, right? So that's very dangerous. What are some short-term strategies to actually do something about this? Let's go back to our fun company that is unnamed for Chicago and talk about this distribution that you see. So we're going to give you a concept, a best practice concept that we call the 4 R's. And basically, it's all tied back to understanding that financial performance and making smart strategies that are by customer segmentation. The first is do nothing, which is I make a lot of money on this customer. The tariffs are going to impact that, but I want to protect everything I can about that relationship. I'm not going to do a thing. I can absorb those costs and be happy. All right? Your competitor's probably not doing that. They're probably raising prices. But you made a smart decision. Re-energize. Well, we're making really good margin on that, but the tariffs are going to impact that. Can I get them to buy a little bit more? Reconsider. Well, these customers are great customers. We've been with them a very long time, but there's just not enough margin to be able to absorb the full tariff. So somehow I've got to get some kind of partial relief from them in either changing price or changing my discounts, whatever it might be. And reduce, which means basically this customer is unprofitable or very marginal. Now with the tariffs, they're very unprofitable. Probably going to fire it. Okay, long-term actions. We've all been reading a lot about this, I'm sure. Anybody read articles about how people are moving outside of China? Sure, right? It's a big effort. It's not done overnight. It takes time and effort. Anybody been reading about how the supply chain infrastructure in Vietnam is not quite yet up to speed to be able to handle the volume? Labor shortages, right? These are all realities. But it is a viable strategy in certain situations. But it's not the only consideration. What about realigning by product? So where am I making it? What can I do about the products in order to get relief once these tariffs are imposed? So maybe file for tariff exemptions, right? We'd like to be, and a lot of that is going on. Renegotiation of supplier contracts. Change the classification of the product. Substitute other products. So these are all viable strategies in thinking about how am I going to be able to do this in a way that I'm just not getting by, but I'm actually improving my margin. This just came out, and I would highly recommend that you read it. Williams-Sonoma basically said, well before this became everybody's attention, we're going to focus on thinking through how to mitigate potential risks associated with tariff increases. 1/5 of all their products come from China. So they started very early in looking at where price increases could be made, how they could reduce overhead costs, renegotiating with suppliers, moving production to the U.S., things that were smart strategies depending on how what they were trying to do. But really, this is the important thing to take away. They started over here. Tariffs were increasing. They made more money. Isn't that interesting? Proactive, smart strategies, they are thriving, not just surviving. All right, home stretch. So the bottom line is tariffs are the topic of the moment, and they should be, because it's a big deal. But you are potentially at risk in lots of other areas. And the smart strategy is to know what all those important aspects of your end-to-end supply chain, what they mean to you in order to fill orders and to maintain margin levels, to be profitable. Everybody knew if I'm sourcing everything from China and something happened to China, I'd be in a world of hurt. We all knew that, right? But how do you measure that? How do you actually demonstrate that? Because it was all about reducing the cost, right? Cost for manufacture is so much cheaper. That's where we're going to go. But the reality of it is supply chains that are going to thrive in the future are tying the financial performance associated with their customers and their products and the operation to understand where they're at risk. They may not do anything different about it, but they understand it and they're trying to make smart strategies in order to be able to mitigate that. So, to have proactive strategies, you really want to make informed decisions using short-term and long-term information to do proactive strategies.